Newcastle 3, Liverpool 3. Not used to this, not used to doing a report after we actually haven't won the game. In the end, it was a very hard earned point. When the dust settles and we look back on it, we'll probably think it's not a bad point, but at the time, it felt like a real opportunity missed as you approach the last minute and you're winning the game. The lead is cut to 7 points. Chelsea beat Southampton. Of that, there was never going to be a doubt. And of course, Man United were never going to get it at Arsenal. So it was a tough away game. You know, we actually have a really good record against Newcastle, but we have to remember this season, Newcastle, they beat Arsenal, they drew with City, they beat Spurs, and in the Cup, they beat Chelsea. So it wasn't going to be easy. They always raised the game for this one, especially Anthony Gordon. And they were up for it for the entire game. They really were, the crowd were, and the Newcastle team were. So let's get into the first half. A big surprise in the team selection as Arne Slot decided to go with Kwanzaa as right back and Gomez in the middle and Trent on the bench, which I couldn't figure out. I had no idea. In fact, the first note I wrote in the group was, is this going to be a key factor in this game? And it absolutely was. So I don't know what he was thinking. Kwanzaa's never played there. It's one thing giving him a few minutes against Man City at the end of the game versus 90 minutes in Newcastle up against Isak and Gordon. Newcastle very clearly overloaded that side. They're not going to go after Virgil and Robbo, are they? When you've got Gomez and Kwanzaa on the other side. And that's what they did. They overloaded it time and time and time again. Now, we could have actually scored first. Alexis McAllister brought off a cracking save from Pope and then almost immediately gets a shot deflected off the post. But after that, from the 20th minute onwards till half time, it was one-way traffic. Once Newcastle had figured out how to get at us, and they were doing it very simply. They were snapping into everything in the middle, and they were knocking it out to the left-hand side. That was the game plan, and it worked its treat. The goal didn't come from that, but that was their main source of attack. Isak gets a bit of space on the edge of the box. Virgil didn't get close enough to him at all, and to be fair, he hits a cracking, unstoppable shot into the top corner. We're 1-0 down. Almost straight away, Joe Gomez has one of those moments where he doesn't quite know what he should do, and he loses the ball, and Gordon runs clean through, and Kelleher makes another one-on-one save. That would have been and should have been 2-0. Murphy then fires one past the post. Right after that, Kwanzaa miscontrols the ball and drags his player back and gets booked. Gravenberch is beaten for the umpteenth time in the first half and drags his player back and gets booked. McAllister had already been booked for doing absolutely nothing, but I'm going to talk about the referee in a little bit. The midfield was getting bullied, and as a result, the forwards got absolutely nothing at all. They weren't in the game. So the chat in the group at half time, and what I was desperate for to happen was that Slot would make changes, and he didn't change anything at all. He left the same 11 as it was. I couldn't quite understand why, but what did change was the intensity levels of the team. And then straight away we get a break. Mo Salah gets the ball on his right. He feeds the on-rushing Curtis Jones and he blasts it home, and after 50 minutes it's 1-1. Then we're on the front foot. Gakpo then has a shot blocked. He then has one and he puts it across the box, and Darwin Núñez looked like he was scared of colliding with the post and doesn't get on the end of it, and he should have. Whether it was lack of anticipation or whether he was fearful of injuring himself on the post, he didn't finish that off, and he should have finished it off. And I want to talk, right, I'm going to do it now because I want to talk about Darwin Núñez. Most of you probably watching this have played football, right? I played amateur football in a variety of leagues And never once, ever, did I laugh and joke with the opposition forward at any stage in any game, at any time. And to be 1-0 down and laughing and joking with Isaac, I was fuming. And then he misses that chance. And he has a smirk on his face. He should have been booting the post. He should have been furious with himself. And then a little bit later in the game, the ball comes to him 6 or 7 yards out, and all he has to do is put it in the net. And he whiffs it, and it comes off the outside of his foot and goes that way. It was the laughing with Isaac and the smirk after he missed that I find that unacceptable. I'm sorry. And then we still haven't changed anything. The ball gets knocked out to the Kwanzaa Gomez area again, and Anthony Gordon goes round him and scores. And it was coming. It was always coming from that route. And why it was not changed, I do not know. So it's 2-1. A few minutes later, Isaac is put through, and again he's against Kwanzaa and Gomez, and he does exactly the same, and he scores, but he was offside from the original move. But still, they didn't know he was offside, and he waltzed past them as if they weren't there and buried it. Anyway, it stayed 2-1. Finally, Arne Slot does make the triple changes. Trent, Dominic Szoboszlai and Luis Diaz. He brought Szoboszlai on for Gravenberch, who was having his worst game of the season, and I'm not trying to disparage him in any way. He's been absolutely brilliant. This was probably one game too many, especially after Real Madrid and Man City in the same week. And Trent came on for Gomez, and Diaz, amazingly, came on for Gakpo and not Nunez. Within 2 minutes of putting him on, Trent gets down the right hand side, gives it to Mo, and Mo does what he does, and he buries it. So after Salah scores, it's then all Liverpool. Just before that, he did the bar, and it looked like Newcastle had run out of steam, and really and honestly they pretty much had. But then again, Trent involved. Trent to Salah. Salah works his magic, and he puts us 3-2 up in the 83rd minute. And you're thinking, he's done it again. He's won us the game again, almost single-handedly. Another assist and 2 goals. That should have won it. But a free kick is knocked in. It's his every day of the week. All he has to do is catch it. There wasn't even under any pressure. There wasn't anyone trying to bully him, nothing. He just had to catch it. And he decides it's going to go out of play, and leaves it, and Shah is at the back stick. And to be honest, it was a hell of a finish, because he had to get that exactly right, but he did. And in the 90th minute, it's 3-3. So it ends 3-3. Opportunity lost. To lose in the last second of the game is a little depressing. But the overall reflection of the game, it's a fair result. The shots were 17-16 to them, and it was 6 shots on target to 5. We both hit the post. They had a one-on-one. They had the one where they knocked it over Kelleher and just missed the post. As much as we could have won it, we really could have lost that game. I am going to put it down to the exertions of the last week. You can't play this many games and not have it affect you on the 3rd game away from home in Newcastle. You've just done Real Madrid, you've just done Man City, and it was a game too much. But I always call it as I see it, and Arne Slot got it wrong today. He's got it right in almost every game this season, so again, I'm not giving him huge criticism, but the Kwanzaa Gomez thing, it was never likely to work, and it didn't work. And to play almost 70 minutes of the game like that put us in the position that we were in. And doing it against Isaac and Gordon. And then the second error, I think, was not to not get Nunez off and to take Gakpo off. Gakpo scored 6 in the last 7 games. And I think in that last 15-minute blitz, I think we would have seen Gakpo posing far more of a threat than Nunez. But he did what he thought was necessary, and it almost came off. So let's talk about this referee. I'm at the end of my tether with these people. How can you referee that game and look at all the challenges that were put in by both teams, and until the 93rd minute, when the game was over, because they moaned that he blew the whistle and gave them a second booking, he'd given them one booking and he'd given us 5. There was a foul by Joe Linton on McAllister in the first half that was so unbelievably blatant, and he didn't book him, but he booked McAllister minutes before for barely touching the player. Did he know that a booking for McAllister puts him out next week? It was another disgrace of a refereeing performance by what looked to me like blatant bias to one team and against the other. And I'm sick of it. And when's something going to be done? You can't look at that game and you can't look at all of those tackles and say one team deserved 5 bookings and one team deserved 1. Surely to God, at some point this has to stop. And of course he didn't give the penalty. Slot couldn't believe it. Every Liverpool player, every single one of them, raised their hand. And you know when that happens, that it's a penalty. And yeah, his hand wasn't that far away, but his hand's like this. And it stops the ball from going in the bleeding net. It's handball in the area and it's a penalty. But he was never going to give it, was he? I hope one day I can stop talking about these. But that level of incompetence has to be called out. Disgrace. So there's only going to be a couple of shout outs. One for the ever unbelievable, amazing Mo Salah, who now with 37 games has taken over Wayne Rooney, the most games with goals and assists in the same game. And in this one he added an extra goal for good luck. 3 more goal involvements. I'll say it again, what would we do without him? The second one to Trent. He didn't come on till the 67th minute and he got 2 assists in 15-minute spell. I don't know why he was left out, but I know there's been people saying it's more important that we keep Mo and it's more important that we keep Virgil. No, it's just as important that we keep Trent, because he is the most creative right-sided defender, who is getting better as a defender, by the way, but without losing his creativity. And he's the most creative defender there has ever been, and we can't just replace him. We've got to keep all 3 of them. If we are going to go on to win this league and potentially win leagues going forward, we have to keep all 3 of those. So well done, Trent. You were benched for 70 minutes, but you came on and you made a huge difference. A brilliant cameo for 15 minutes. Hey, look, I'm disappointed, but these lads have put it in all season. They've done brilliantly, and to be honest, they did brilliantly for a lot of that second half today after a hell of a week. So stepping back, looking and saying, all right, we haven't maintained our 9-point lead, but we've got another big away game out the way, and we're still 7 points clear with a better goal difference than anybody else. So we're still very, very much on track as to where we want to be. Now, the next game, Everton, away, the last game at Goodison Park. They are going to be up for it like we've probably never seen, and we have to match it. Newcastle, we didn't match Newcastle today in our first half. We're going to have to match Everton from the first whistle. Anyway, I'll see you after that one. Enjoy being 7 points clear. You'll never walk alone. Ta-ra.